the other commissioners. And so we had a meeting in Vigyan Bhavan. And so that time we were able to listen to the people who were actually, who gave the definition of sustainable development as development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. So it was a good opportunity. And then, you reminded, when you were speaking, you reminded and you quoted the definition of sustainable development. It was very nice. I think they've started streaming live on YouTube.
Suresh sir will join in few minutes.
Okay.
So we started the live streaming.
Okay.
Once he joins, we can start. And Michael sir will be joining us a bit late.
Okay.
Actually, our college conducted a international conference on sustainable development, botany, Department of Botany and Department of Zoology.
Okay.
3 or 4 years back.
Okay, very good. So are you publishing a journal also?
No, sir. We have proceedings. Usually we publish proceedings of all these conferences, but not 18. We have to start journal also.
Okay.
It's in discussion.
So Dr. Rammohan, how you're doing well? You're muted.
Yes. Retired 6 years back.
Yes. But you're still active.
Yeah. I go to Anna Institute of Management.
Okay.
Give lectures.
Oh.
Go to collectorates. Sometimes they organize.
Okay.
And tsunami, cyclone,
okay,
earthquake, these things I cover. In fact, I think I met Suresh when I came to Kanyakumari Collectorate to give the lecture.
Oh, I see. Okay.
That's how we got acquainted.
Okay, very good. We can start whenever you are ready.
I am ready, but I think Suresh has to come.
No, Dr. Savita and Dr.
Yes,
Jayashree, no, they can.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 1 minute, sir.
Yes.
I am ready.
Yeah. Because people are coming, and then it's also.
Yeah, Suresh sir has joined.
Yeah.
Namaste, good afternoon, happy Vinayaka Chaturthi, and welcome to the 4th session of webinar series on Disaster Resilient India 2030, organized by Youth Red Cross and Internal Quality Assurance Cell Sree, Ayyappa College for Women, Chunkankadai, Kanyakumari District, in association with Disaster Management and Rehabilitation Trust. Let's start the day with a silent prayer. Welcome back. Namaste again. Now it's my turn to deliver the welcome address on behalf of Youth Red Cross, IQAC, and Disaster Management and Rehabilitation Trust. First and foremost, let me extend my hearty welcome to our principal ma'am, Dr. K.V. Jayashree, who has been constantly encouraging us to organize programs that are intended to bring in changes in the society. A very hearty welcome to you, ma'am. Next, my welcome goes to Professor Vinod C. Menon, founder member, NDMA, Government of New Delhi. As the participants of this program, you might have been noticing that Professor Vinod sir has been a constant source of encouragement, and he is really behind the success of this program. A very hearty welcome to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And next, my welcome goes to Mr. P. Michael Vedashiromani, former civil servant and chairman of DMRT. Sir will be joining us very soon. A very hearty welcome to him too. Next, my welcome goes to Dr. V. Ram Mohan, Professor Rted, Madras University, Chennai, who is going to give the keynote address today on coastal erosion. A very hearty welcome to you, sir. Next, my welcome goes to A. Suresh Kumar, Organizing Secretary of our webinar series and also the Secretary of DMRT. A very hearty welcome to you, sir. It's my privilege to welcome Dr. K. Meena, IQAC Coordinator, Sree Ayyappa College for Women, who is another source of encouragement, and her guidance has helped us in organizing the programs of this sort. A very hearty welcome to you, ma'am. Next, my welcome goes to Dr. A. Veliyappan, Youth Red Cross organizer of Manoimanyam Sundarnar University. A very hearty welcome you to, sir. And the participants of this program who have been traveling along with us throughout the series and who are really the key forces behind the success of this program. A very hearty welcome to you to all. Next, let me invite Professor Vinod C. Menon, founder member NDMA, to deliver the inaugural address. Sir, please, the platform is yours.
Thank you very much, Dr. Savita, and also Dr. Jayashree, the principal of the Ayyappa College for Women, and also to the Youth Red Cross team led by Dr. Velmani, and also other colleagues, Mr. Suresh Kumar, the Secretary of the DMRT, the Disaster Management Rehabilitation Trust, and Sree Michael Shiromani, the chairman of the Disaster Management and Rehabilitation Trust, and Dr. Ram Mohan, a retired professor in the University of Madras. Very happy to see you here, and then also looking forward to listening to your presentation. The topic is extremely important. The theme of today's session is on cyclones and sea erosion. And cyclones, actually, we know that India actually faces cyclones repeatedly. We recently had the cyclone Amphan, which hit West Bengal, and especially the Sundarbans area, and also Calcutta and many other districts in that region. We also had impact of that in Odisha, and we have been having these repeated cyclones happening almost every year. We have cyclonic storms, and sometimes it dissipates into a mild depression, and then it just disappears. But however, there have been instances when we've had serious and severe devastating cyclones. So the super cyclone of 1999 in Orissa was one of the most devastating cyclones which India has faced. And this is 1999 in October, when we had the severe devastating super cyclone, in which we lost about 10,000 people, and more than 325,000 heads of cattle were also killed in the super cyclone. And large numbers of people, several lakhs of people, had to be shifted to relief camps, and several people were actually in thousands of relief camps which were set up by the government. Now, I think in 2013, when we had Cyclone Phylin, which was also of this similar magnitude and similar intensity, cyclonic storm was there. We felt that this would also be a devastating cyclone. But however, because of the evacuation of more than 1 million people by the Orissa Disaster Management Authority, and also the OSDMA, the Orissa State Disaster Management Authority, and the ODRAF, which is the Orissa Disaster Rapid Action Force of the government of Orissa, and the Interagency Group Orissa, the Civil Society Network, and many others working along with the National Disaster Response Force, they were able to reduce and minimize the loss of life due to that cyclone to just 23. And they evacuated more than 1 million people. More than 10 lakh people were shifted to the relief camps and cyclone shelters. So I think that actually shows the potential that with better preparedness, we will be able to reduce the devastating impact and loss of life and loss of disruption of livelihood, which happens. So I'm very happy that we have this theme in the seminar series, which has been taken up by the DMRT along with Youth Red Cross and Ayyappa College for Women. I'm very happy that we have been having these discussions, and this will also be uploaded on the YouTube. And so we will be able to see this presentation by Dr. Ramohan, and this will be useful to the students because we are going through a very disturbing period of the COVID, and I understand that being a weekend on Saturday, the sessions were kept primarily because we could actually have access to a larger number of people who would be attending this program. And I hope that the students of the college and also the students of the universities in Tamil Nadu will also take interest in these programs, and we could actually circulate this through the community radio programs and others so that it will actually reach to a larger audience. So the Red Cross could also share this with their network, WhatsApp groups, social media, Facebook, so that large numbers of people could listen to people like Dr. Ramohan. He has enormous experience in this field, and then we will be able to benefit from his experience and his insights. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to have this seminar series, especially this session on cyclones and sea erosion by Professor Ramohan inaugurated. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. As usual, your words are really a source of encouragement for us. Thank you so much for being with us. Now, let me invite Mr. A. Suresh Kumar, Secretary DMRT and the Organizing Secretary of our webinar series, to give his insights on cyclone risk reduction and resilience. Sir, please.
Share committee. Disable. Madam, please unmute me. I have to share the presentation.
Okay.
Share. So most distinguished our chairman who will be joining with us, our great inspiration and guide, friend, philosopher and guide, respected Honorable Vinod Menon sir, founder member NDMA, my professor Dr. Ramohan sir, respected principal madam Valliyappan sir, Professor Savida, and my dear colleagues in this program, especially the participants across the country to join in this program. So it's my privilege to be with you for another 15 to 20 minutes regarding the cyclone that devastated our country. Sir Menon sir rightly in his inaugural speech said that the Odisha super cyclone really awakened the mind of government as well as the community. Accordingly, disasters are not bound by political boundaries and have no social and economic consideration. They are borderless as they affect both developing and developed countries. India has been vulnerable in very varying degree to large number of natural as well as human-made disasters on account of its unique geoclimate and socio-economic conditions. It is highly vulnerable to flood, drought, cyclone, earthquake, landslide, avalanches, and forest fire. Out of 36 states and union territories in the country, 27 of them are disaster prone. Almost 58.6% of land mass is prone to earthquake of moderate to very high intensity. Over 40 million hectares, that is 12% of the land, are prone to flood and river erosion. Of the 7,516 kilometer long coastline of India, close to 5,700 kilometers is prone to cyclone and tsunami. 68% of the cultivable area is vulnerable to drought, and hilly area are at risk from landslide and avalanches. India is one of the most flood-prone countries in the world. The principal reason for flood lie in very nature of natural ecological system in the country, namely the monsoon.
So you have not started the screen sharing.
Okay. The average rainfall in India is 1,150 mm with significant variation across the country. The annual rainfall along with the western coast and the western Ghats, Koshi hills, and over the most of the Brahmaputra valley amounts to more than 2,500 mm. Most of the flood occur during the monsoon period and are usually associated with tropical storms or depression, active monsoon conditions, and break monsoon situation. India is prone to a extraordinary variety of climate region. With this small introduction, let me proceed to the topic assigned to me, that DDMA, District Disaster Management Authority, under the leadership of District Collector, mainly involved in the rescue relief operation of the respective district. State Disaster Management Authority always supported to the District Disaster Management Authority. NDMA, we are fortunate to have the founder member of NDMA. Sir, you have laid a strong foundation. India is now well prepared. The role of DDMA and SDMA, NDMA is very important, especially in cyclone risk reduction area. The Disaster Management Act drafted and supported by our chairman Michael Vedasiromani sir and our respected Menon sir, they have engraved in the Disaster Management Act, the subsection 8, 9, and 12, Chapter 7 of Disaster Management Act 2005, to develop training modules, educational materials, undertake training, research, documentation, publication, capacity building, and dissemination of knowledge, information related activity, assist formulation of policies, plans, strategies, and framework for disaster risk reduction. So this way, the disaster management system in the country is developed accordingly. We are well prepared now. Coming to the geography of cyclone, as mentioned, the subcontinent is worst affected region of the world, is exposed to nearly 10% of the world tropical cyclones affecting India. There are 13 coastal states or union territories encompassing 84 coastal districts which are affected by cyclone. 4 states, Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, Tamil Nadu, and West Bengal is worst affected. Recently, we had Amphan landfall in 24 Paragon district of West Bengal, Calcutta, that there were very good preparedness. IMD did their role and preparedness was there. People are evacuated. Now the situation there is, along with the COVID, it is very difficult for the frontline workers and the responders. And because of the people in the shelters as well as in the affected area, the disaster operation management preparedness became a very big challenge. 40% of the total population lies in 100 kilometers of coastline. Data for the period of 82,000 shows that on an average annually 370 million people are exposed to cyclone. India experienced 9 deadliest cyclone out of 308. 103 cyclones were severe in nature, as our sir said. So cyclone and their impacts in India, as we say, preliminary education, high school education, and higher secondary education, the depression, deep depression, cyclonic storm, severe cyclonic, very severe and super cyclonic storm, and with the wind speed of 31 to 119 already affected our country. When we go to the history of major tropical cyclones in India, 1891 to 2002, the Odisha, as our NDMA founders are said, Odisha experienced 98 cyclones. Then come to Andhra Pradesh, West Bengal, and Tamil Nadu, 54. This is the past history. The objective of this presentation is DDMA, SDMA should reduce the vulnerability of coastal community to cyclone and other hydrometeorological hazards. Improved early warning dissemination system. Indian government is promoting a lot of new technologies and advancements. I suggest on this August occasion that India should think of mission dissemination. Early warning and preparedness is there, but we have to connect the last mile about this early warnings dissemination. The lady who is cooking in the kitchen should receive the message of early warning disseminated from National Emergency Operations Center, State Emergency Operations Center, and District Emergency Operation Center. It should reach to the kitchen of a woman. Then only we can save the lives. Enhanced capacity at local communities to respond disasters, and improved access to emergency shelter. Shelters are constructed in every district, at least coastal districts. Tamil Nadu is having 13 coastal districts, 10 to 15 emergency shelters. Multi-purpose evacuation shelters are constructed, and whether that shelters are properly managed, and it is a joint ownership of government as well as community, and that technology and other intervention is required to maintain the system for the use of people when there is an incident. Evacuation routes should be set. Alternate evacuation route is most important because people will be using the same path, so that it is very difficult to escape. And protection against windstorm, flooding. Simultaneously, many disasters will cross. When cyclone passes, we experience lightning, we experience a flood. So many devastations are happen. So we have to prepare it. Strengthening DRM, disaster response mechanism, capacity at the central, state, and local level, so that we can save the community. Vulnerable and understanding the issues and solutions on governments and administration is very important. Discuss about the current practices in the coastal disaster reduction monitoring. Tamil Nadu and many coastal states implemented this CBDRM, community-based disaster risk reduction program. We have formed the community level volunteers for first aid, early warning, and for evacuation of people, shelter management, and many 5 groups were formed to even search and rescue operation was with the support of community, because when there is an emergency, only the community people will be there. They have to respond to the situation and highlight the environmental as well as emerging issues in context with urbanization and the climate. Urban flooding and these are all the main issue to the government. How to manage the cyclone? There are many structural and non-structural measures. The cyclone, any disaster will not kill people. Normally, shelters constructed, tree we have planted, and many other buildings we have constructed. All these may collapse during emergency. So structural and non-structural measures we have to take. These measures can be adopted and tackled on state-to-state basis under the National Cyclone Risk Mitigation Project being implemented under the support of World Bank. Tamil Nadu CBDRM project was supported by World Bank, and many other states are also following. And as I already said, the last mile connectivity, the early warning to reach the last citizen of the country, then only we can save people. Construction and sustainable maintenance of multi-purpose cyclone shelters, and that has to be managed properly. Enhanced capacity and coping capacity of the people has to be enhanced. And the benefits of all these arms, cyclone also supportive to the citizen, relieve drought condition. Simultaneously, for flood and drought, there are some departments working, because we experience very good rain. In Kerala flood, we experienced more rain, but in short span, we experienced water table of that area will go down. So drinking water itself is very difficult. And so this monsoon and these cyclones will bring will give more benefit to the community. And heat. Now the heat wave is a major phenomena in the northern region. So we are planning to we are suggesting to construct shelters to save the people from this heat wave. So so this heat wave will be reduced because of this cyclone, and many temperature rise. Temperature rise is a major reason for many disasters. So that also will support you. So for all these disaster management exercise, build back mechanism is more important. Build back better whenever there is a disaster, and after the disaster we have to keep the people as they were in their original state of life, for which disaster reduction, community recovery, and effective implementation of policies are more important. So I'll be touching few points on cyclone, mostly few photographs I am sharing with you how these disasters affecting, cyclone affecting people, so that our Professor Ramohan sir will give lot of solution. I am suggesting that I have taken an example of Kanyakumari district. This is the revenue and local bodies and the population of the territory district. So of course we had a lot of monsoon, northeast monsoon 2017 only we experienced this Oki cyclone, and already pre-identified 60 vulnerable areas were there, and 5 interdepartmental zonal teams were appointed, nodal officers were there, first responders, first professional responders were there, including the women responders were there, and backup power and desiltation, many other preparedness measures were there. All of a sudden on 29/11/2017, forecast of depression was informed to the district collector, and that was informed in back to the line department, and IMD bulletin was received by mail and so many way. Fishermen were informed by about 2 p.m. that is 1 day before the cyclone. But the problem in our district is that our Kanyakumari district fishermen go for deep sea fishing. They will be in the midst of the sea, and they will be venturing fishing for more than 5-6 days. It was a very total failure of our system that we could not reach the people in the deep sea. So that is why we lost many lives during that cyclone. On 30th November, we experienced the real, this cyclone. The IMD bulletin was issued, and WhatsApp group, many informations were given. The forecast fishermen on high sea in the multi-day fishing, as I said, they were in the deep sea fishing for more than a week. So this is the track of Oki cyclone, how it is formed near Sri Lanka, and slowly it moved, and finally touched Kanyakumari and southern part of Tamil Nadu and Kerala. And this is a tropical cyclone, how it is moved 100 kilometers southwest of Kanyakumari. It was there, and finally we experienced. So all these informations were disseminated. Still, in addition to this, we had a heavy rainfall before 29th, 30th, and for 4 days we experienced the heavy rainfall. That added a further flood situation to the district. The SDRFs, the major component of NDMA, when sir was there in the act also, it was there. NDRF, National Disaster Response Fund, as well as state disaster funds was created, and that state fund was supported to the district administration. This is the situation, how people affected rubber, banana, all the agriculture is supported. See, restoration is the immediate response that we have to support to the community for ensuring. So immediately after the next day, we experienced all the dams in Pechipare, Perinjani, major dams, they overflown, and we have to open it, and finally that end up into flood also. These are major 200-300-year-old trees fallen. Search and rescue was a big challenge, and almost all the area of the district affected. So the culvert, bridges, and pipelines, and so before after is very important situation. We have to establish build back mechanism that the departmental officials they were. This is Chudal, border of Kerala. How before after situation, Nedunkulam pond also get affected. Around 2,000 ponds were here, and almost more than 50 to 60% of the ponds get affected. School buildings also collapsed during this period, and government primary school and flood. So the road was laid 2 months back. We have to break open to help the community, and the school toilets in the Thotamala is a forest area, tribal area, and it is a pipeline again getting affected. Drinking water became a major issue, and how we have to lay roads to reach the community. And there are some area that became island during that period. This is also another Kerala border area, Konaseri, and how Banana again, different parts of the district, and hospital buildings also got collapsed, and compound walls. Compound wall is a major phenomena. Construction of compound wall, the strength of the compound wall is more important. We experienced many deaths during disasters on this compound wall collapse. This crop damage, this is the inspection by the secretary, and we had been to deep forest by sailing in the boat. We went for relief operation. That when the dam's full capacity was 48. When we crossed that area, the full 46 feet water was there. In spite of that, we could reach the community. This is the community Tachamalai. 2 kilometers we have to travel in the boat, and we supported the community. Relief materials were given, and even tarpaulins were. Tarpaulins were given, and we supported them how to use it. And I was associated with the preparation of district disaster management plan of Kanyakumari district for the last 5 years. So I was honored. And we are creating a lot of awareness program, disaster management training program. This was one such program for teacher educators, and electricity restoration. That became another challenge. For first 1 week, we had no electricity, and that became a very big challenge. Removal of unused these electrical poles, road, and seed everywhere. Total devastation. Tribal house that got collapsed, and cleaning of rockfall. As we experienced very recently in Kerala, that there was a landslide like this. Small rock that came down, and it to set a root, and agricultural commodities, all this area, field, potters, handloom, everywhere affected. And not only the local capacity, the disaster, we always say, if it is beyond the coping capacity of the local community, we call it disaster. Maharashtra, Lakshadweep, Karnataka, Gujarat, Kerala, every government supported us, and they rescued our people. They have given us facilities as their guest. And this is the people we brought from Lakshadweep, 2017, how they, and relief assistance were given in Karnataka, Maharashtra, and in the Trivandrum Government Hospital. So assessment is very important component when there is a failure. So Kanyakumari district devastated. This is a fishing harbor, Muttam harbor, before after situation. And then we lay a lot of these stones. So our sir will be telling. So if we create anything against nature, that will get collapse. That's what we experienced in this. Kulachal fishing harbor, displaced Korlaks. So when we lay all these things in front of nature, we cannot. So Kulachal fishing harbor again, Tengapatanam also, we have the similar experience. We are we have to spend more time, energy, and money for this supporting this community. And this village sea level rise is going on. So in spite of all these things, we have to live. So His Excellency Governor of Tamil Nadu visited the affected area, and Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, being the chairman of the SDMA, visited us, and NDMA chairman as well as Prime Minister of India visited us and supported us, and all this help strengthened, as I said, build back mechanism, some extent established. It is an experience we received, especially Kanyakumari district, like that other district also will be having a lot of experience. So together we save the community. Working together works. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Suresh Kumar sir. Mr. Suresh Kumar has the first-hand experience of working in the rescue works of Kanyakumari district when Oki hit the district. And as sir was telling, that each and the policies, the work should reach the last individual in the country. I was reminded of Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyaya's integral humanism and his philosophy of Antyodaya, that only when the policies, really when the efforts taken in the taken by the government reach the last person in the society, that will cause the only then there will be the success of our policies and my policies. And working in the ground level is always important. And Mr. Suresh Kumar sir is an example of how one should work in the ground level. And thank you so much, sir, for sharing your experience and expertise with us. Now, let me invite Dr. K.V. Jayashree, ma'am, to offer her felicitations. Ma'am, please. Ma'am, Jayashree, ma'am.
Yes. Namaste, and I extend a cordial welcome to all the dignitaries and participants to the fourth session of ongoing webinar series, Disaster Resilient India 2030, jointly organized by YRC and Evacuation of Ayyappa College for Women and Disaster Management and Rehabilitation Trust. Today's topic in this webinar series is cyclone and coastal erosion. Coastal India is a geocultural region that spreads about 7,516.6 kilometers, and the coastal erosion is the wearing away of land and removal of beach sediments by high winds, drainage, wave action, wave currents, and tidal currents. It is a natural process, but the rate at which the erosion is happening has accelerated over the past few decades due to anthropogenic activities. The combined effect of human activities and natural environment changes make the coastal dynamic action lose balance in the coastal process, resulting in loss of sediments in the coastal zone, leading to coastline retreat and beach erosion. At present, coastal erosion is very common. About 75% of the sandy coast worldwide is marked as eroded. The anthropogenic activities, that is migration of population, industrial exploitation for space, water and manpower, mineral mining, multiple number of health centers along coastline, etc. And moreover, it is a favorite area for tourism and recreation worldwide. The zone can boom economically, but at the same time, this area progressively receding worldwide, making the zone fragile, vulnerable, and unstable. Coastal erosion destroys the beach biodiversity and ecological balance and has direct or indirect harm on human life and natural environment. So the coastal erosion has changed from natural environmental change to a serious hazard. As regarding this cyclone, as pointed out by Vinod Menon sir, our nation is subjected to devastating effects of cyclone frequently, and as rightly pointed out by Suresh Kumar sir, all the natural disasters are common to all nations without preference to political structure, region, religion, caste, economic status, etc. And the intensity of loss depends upon how we manage it before it occurs. The heavy rains associated with the cyclones leads to flooding of inland area, land subsidence, land mudslides, which has further impact on human infrastructure, crop, vegetation, and livestock, etc. Cyclones coupled with the tides and local coastal erosions can cause saline water intrusion. Today, Dr. Ram Mohan is with us to give more details about the topic. I, on behalf of the organizing team, extend our gratitude to you, sir, for joining with us to share your knowledge, views, and thoughts. And I extend good luck to the program and all the participants. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ma'am, thank you so much, ma'am. Now, we are moving on to the technical session of the day. And we have Professor Dr. B. Ramohan, who served in the Department of Geology, University of Madras in the Gindi campus, Chennai, with us today. Professor Ramohan's areas of specialization are environmental geosciences, geochemistry, indigenous and metamorphic petrology, application of remote sensing and GIS in earth resource management, and studies on natural hazards and disaster management. Here we have an erudite personality who has done many research and consultancy projects. The list is very long. I will just mention a few of them. Environmental monitoring in Gulf of Cambar for establishing oil production facility, annual environmental monitoring of PY3 oil production facility of Tirumulaivasan, Nagapattinam district, magnetic survey to locate anthracite deposit near Kiranur, Pudukkottai district, and feasibility studies for uses dimensional stone, Pallava granites, and the list goes on. And Professor Ramohan has also served in many committees, contributing his due to the service of the nation. He was the dean in charge, University Industry Interaction Center, University of Madras, member of committee to prepare the guidelines from for tsunami hazard constituted by NDMA New Delhi. He was a member of the committee to draft the standard operation procedure for terrorist attack using biological, chemical, and nuclear agents for government of Tamil Nadu. Resource person for training programs on disaster management in Anna Institute of Management, Government of Tamil Nadu since 2007. Professor Ramohan has also contributed to the development of many students through guiding many MPhil dissertations and PhD thesis. And he has contributed to the academia through 56 research papers published in international journals and 36 papers published in national journals. And he has attended many conferences, both overseas and India, and he has organized many conferences of this sort too. And he has got membership in many academic bodies, and he has visited many foreign countries for the collaborative programs. And it is our fortune to have Dr. V. Ramohan with us today to enlighten us on the topic of coastal erosion. So the platform is yours.
Thank you. I think my presentation will be.
So you can start sharing now. Please leave the sharing option again.
It's in the background.
Yes, sir. It's there. It's there now.
Yeah.
Yes. You can start the slideshow, sir.
Yeah. Good afternoon to everybody. I'm not going to specifically address the names, but I should recall my association with the Honorable Vinod Menon sir. We were associated in the drafting of the guidelines for tsunami in NDMA. That's how I got associated with them. So it's a pleasure seeing him. We are not meeting anyhow. It's in the video conference. So I will have enough time to cover only coastal erosion. So I thought I can talk about cyclone disaster at a later date. That's what we talked about to Suresh Kumar, Mr. Suresh Kumar. So today it will be mainly on coastal erosion, and particularly coastal erosion is very important for Tamil Nadu and the state of, district of Kanyakumari in particular. So, yeah. So the problem today we face is the natural hazards they are increasing. Particularly the hydrometeorological hazards are increasing, and unfortunately, man has extended his activities, settlements, housing, as well as industries in disaster areas which will be affected by disasters. So the growth of population is also taking unbelievable dimension and as a result, the coastal area is being encroached. I can say it's only encroached. See, what is happening, in Puthanturai, we are having houses at a distance of 16 meters from high tide. In Manavalakurchi, a factory is situated 42 meters from the low tide. I'm not able to clearly demarcate the high tide. So when you say about high tide, it should be around 20, 25 meters, that's all. So we are in a very bad shape, and a college is situated in Karadur at a distance of 200 meters. And that college was affected in the tsunami, but still the developments are taking place. They have constructed a hostel in the surrounding area, and they're not realized the disaster proneness of that particular coast. Likewise, you have houses at a distance of 30 meters from the coast in Chennai. These are some of the issues which we should realize. People are not realizing the danger. They continue to live in the disaster prone area. That's a main problem. So when you talk about the coastal erosion or shoreline changes or inundation of the land by the sea, there are several causes. One is what we see every day is wind and wave action. Wind causes the wave action. And then you have the tidal action. Unfortunately, we don't have that problem in Tamil Nadu because the tidal amplitude is very low here, less than 50 centimeters. Whereas you will have the problem in the Sundarban area as you go north, in the Sundarban and Gulf of Kambat. So you have tidal action also influencing the shoreline. Nearshore currents and sediment source. Sediment source is very important. The sediment should come to the sea, and then only the beach can be built. So you have currents which transport the sediments. Storms and extreme events, sometimes they have a lasting impact. Sometimes the changes which are made by these storms are irreversible. But under rare circumstances, the Earth process is able to regain the original configuration, but very rarely it becomes we lost Dhanushkodi, but now it has been regained by the natural process. The tectonic subsidence and uplift, it can also affect. And then you have the sea level rise. This is a challenge the community is facing in the coastal area. The sea level is rising because of the global warming, and the warming results in the melting of the glaciers, which increase the quantity of water in the seas. The thermal expansion of the water due to temperature, it also results in the rise in sea level. So these are all some of the factors which are responsible for the change in shoreline. When you come to the human influence, we have the sand mining in the beach and the riverbed. What is happening in the beach is you lose the beach. When you're doing it in the riverbed, you are stopping the supply of the sand to the ocean or the near shore. Then sediment input reduction due to construction of dams, barges in the rivers. This is a very important issue. There are instances where several hundreds of square kilometers of land has been lost because the coast is not receiving the sediments to build its shore. Then construction of backwaters and jetties, piers, this is a big issue because we, particularly people in Kanyakumari, they should be knowing the ill effects of these coastal constructions. And once you start these coastal constructions, then you have the shore erosion, and you have to protect the shore. So shore protection structures, are they really protecting? It's a big question. They are not protecting. They are only degrading the shore further. Dynamics, when you talk about the process which is responsible for the building up of this shore, we have the longshore currents. We call what is called the longshore currents. This is caused when the waves encounter the coast at an oblique angle, and they go up like this, they override the shore, and then return perpendicular, in a perpendicular direction, to be picked once again by the second wave, which takes it further. So there is a zigzag movement, and the net movement is like this. We call it as a direction of drift. Driftward movement, downdrift movement. So millions of tons of sand are being transported along the coast forever. In India, what happens is, in Indian subcontinent, what happens is, the movement of the sediments or the longshore currents is not in one direction. It gets reversed during the northeast monsoon, when what is called the ITCZ, Intertropical Convergence Zone, it moves southward. Then you have the northeast monsoon, and during the 3 months, the movement is, in general, in Tamil Nadu, in the Bay of Bengal and Gulf Coast, the movement of the sediment is towards north. So any structure which is put up trapping this sediment will lead to the accumulation of sediments in the south of the structure. And because the area north of the structure is not getting the sediments, but sediment are being removed from there, you get erosion. That is what is happening in the Bay of Bengal coast. In the Park Bay, what happens is the wave strikes at a direction perpendicular to the coast, so there is no longshore current. The Gulf of Mannar, there is an anti-clockwise current coming from the Sri Lanka. So that creates another cell. It takes more time to explain all these things. But that is very important, because that particular current supplies some sediments to west coast. See, the coast should be built up by the sand which is coming from the rivers, through the rivers to the coast. You have abundant rivers in the east coast bordering the Bay of Bengal. So beaches and dunes complexes are well formed in the Bay of Bengal coast. That is, I am talking from Vedaranyam to further north. Whereas, if you take the case of the Park Bay and Gulf of Mannar, in Gulf of Mannar you have only one major river, that is Tamrabarani. And in the Gulf, you have Bellar, Agniar and other things in the Park Bay. They are very small rivers. Tamrabarani, we can say, it's a large river. Whereas in the Arabian Sea coast of Tamil Nadu, you don't have major rivers. So there is no sediment input. And here this current is towards north. In the west coast, the current is moving towards north. That means in Kanyakumari in particular, in the land's end, sand is being transported always towards north. So whatever small amount of sand comes, it is being taken away. We tried to do some sampling of sediments in the Kanyakumari near shore. We never got any sediments. We could get only small amount of the biogenic debris, calcareous debris. So we have an inherent problem in Kanyakumari Coast where you have very low sediment load, sediment getting dumped into the ocean. At the same time, this sand, whatever is coming, is being transported away. Whatever we are getting in Kanyakumari is a leaked sediment coming from the Tamrabarni river system, that cell. It's a very complex situation. So, and a very unfavorable situation also. So there's another thing is that you have a variation in the summer profile and winter profile. In the winter, the go back to the previous slide. Go back to the previous slide. Yeah. So in the winter, there's more erosion. You will see that the sea is very close by. Next. Yeah, that's it. So the coast is eroded. The sea advances landward. And it removes the sand and gets it dumped here as a sandbar. But this erosion is not permanent because during summer, it is gently pushed back to the same place. This happens even during a fortnight. During the new moon and full moon, there's more erosion. And during the neap tide, the configuration is regained. Next. And these are all certain cycles which take place. That is, daily, weekly cycles or fortnightly cycles. And then you have the annual cycle. So you have, then we are coming to the type of erosion which is taking place. We just see few slides about what is happening in the west coast and east coast. East coast is essentially a sandy coast, whereas the west coast, you have an escarpment. The uplift of the Indian subcontinent along the west coast fault has resulted in the formation of a steep cliff. You have the cliff to coast. You have that cliff to coast in Ratnagiri, in the basaltic rocks, and you have the sedimentary rocks and the laterites in Varkala, which represent this southern part. And then we have some 10-meter high cliffs, very small, low cliffs in Valinokam in Ramanathapuram district. So these are all also a systematic retreat of the cliff is taking place. This is the configuration of the original cliff. The wave action causes a notch here, and this notch here, the rock gets collapsed and the cliff retreats. So this is happening here, and we have to protect the coast. And it's not going to be protected. You are just going to control it for some time, but you will definitely lose the material. Next. This is what I have explained, and we have a 1,500 long coast in West Arabian coast, which is having a cliff to coast. Next. Next, please. Yeah. So this is a hydraulic action, abrasion, attrition, and solution. The salts are dissolved and taken away. Rocks hit against one another, reducing the size. Abrasion takes place when the sand and pebble with the water splash on the rock, and then hydraulic action when the wave forces splashes against the wall or the cliff, the air packet in the cracks, they expand and causes a sort of an explosion. Hydraulic fracturing takes place. Okay, next. Next. Yeah. Now we could come to the sea level rise, global warming, and global warming is not only going to rise the sea level, but also increase the sea surface temperature and the possibility of the formation of a cyclone. And also that we have, when the temperature rises, the land is going to absorb the heat and radiate it back, whereas the sea is going to absorb it and retain it because of its latent heat. So as a result, the mid-continental region is heated and the sea is also heated, but not to that extent. The rise in temperature is much higher in the mid-continental region. So as a result, to make up the difference in the pressure, the wind starts blowing, and this causes what is called the waves. It's also going to cause evaporation, more evaporation, and our surface water bodies are going to reduce in volume. That is another problem which we talk about when talk about the water resource. So higher amplitude waves, wave height increase because of the wind. It can cause erosion. And rising sea level combined with increasing erosion in coastal defenses. What are the coastal defenses? The natural coastal defenses like dunes and other things. And when extreme event takes place, the coastal defense will be reduced in size. You have a big sand dune, but during a storm, its height can be reduced so that it can easily inundate. Next. And this is a rise in temperature, and this results in the sea level rise. We are having a rise to up to 8 degrees centigrade. We had the phenomena well recognized from 1998. 1998 was a year when the sea surface temperature was 2 degrees above normal, 60 average. And 90% of the corals died of bleaching in Maldives, and coral bleaching was reported almost throughout the world from Lakshadweep to Andaman and other places. Next. Yeah, this is the sea level rise. When you take into consideration the sea level from the tide gauge recordings in the earlier stages, but now it is satellite-based measurement. From 1870 to 2000, the sea level rise was estimated as 1.7 mm per year. But you take the case of 1993 to present, this is from up to 2010. The change is 3.26 mm per year. That means the sea level rise has been accelerated and it is rising. The rate itself is rising. In another 10 years, you will have 4 mm and more. Like that, it keeps on rising. So we are, and when the sea level rises, erosion is going to be a definite effect. Next. Yeah, this is just look at what has happened in the past. We always look into what has happened in the past to infer what is going to happen in future. Because, you know, there are many estimates or anticipation or models which show what is going to happen. But how this is going to happen, whether the earth is going to absorb some of this carbon dioxide, we do not know. People are talking about CO2 rise. Now ocean is absorbing the CO2. That means the atmospheric CO2 is not going to rise at the rate which we modeled earlier, because we are not taking into consideration the efficiency of the ocean to absorb the CO2. And now there's another dimension is that the ocean pH is reducing. As a result, the carbonate which is in the ocean will be released. So this is a very complex situation, but with a positive feedback and negative feedback. Positive feedback is one which enhances the effect. For example, if you have increase in heat, there's going to be more forest fire, and forest fire will cause more additional CO2 and more warming. But at the same time, warming will increase the cloud cover, and the cloud cover is going to prevent the entry of the radiation or insulation budget of the earth. So that's a negative feedback. So during the Cretaceous, the temperature was something around 10 degrees above present day. What has happened then? Next. Many of these areas, the blue colored areas, are the parts of the world, India was here, so these were covered by the, inundated by the ocean. The land was only much smaller. But what happened in India? We can see in the next, Tamil Nadu, we can see in the next slide. Next slide. Yeah, this is what is happening. We have the sedimentary rocks exposed on the surface today along the continental margin. And the limit of this arrowhead shows the definite limit of the sea during 125 million years back. So it has gone, the sea level has probably was higher by 200 meters than present, and a lot of areas have been inundated. So we are sure that the sea level rise is going to have, we are going to lose a lot of land. And that comes with erosion. Next. But what is happening in the past half a million years is that we have some temperature maximums here. And this is 130 to 115 kilo years, 1,000 years. And then we have a 8,000 years before present one peak, which is hidden. Okay, anyhow, doesn't matter. And the temperature was something around 4 degrees above the present sea level. And here it was mid-Holocene, 8,000 years before present, it was 2 meters above mean sea level. Next. This is from the Antarctica ice core records, and you can see that there's a spindle-shaped structure which is called the Strand line. We call it in a geological sense a Strand line. These are ridges of sand. Normally, you find in a beach a dune ridge forming in the coast. And whenever the sea was there up to that particular level, is ridge formed. But the sea, when it receded, successive ridges were formed. This is how this ridge plain was forming. It's about 20-25 kilometers inland. And you can see some of the next slide. The dunes, which are 2 kilometers inland in Tiruchoburam in Kadalur, near Chidambaram. So that means these are all with marine shells we have. So the sea has entered inland to a distance of 12 kilometers here, but it's more in Vedaranam area. Sea was there up to Tirthirapundi, that is 25 kilometers inland. That has happened probably in 115,000 years before present, when the sea level was higher than present by about 12 meters. This is what is happening. And then we have the 8,000 year or 6,000 year Mid-Holocene thermal maxima. The sea, what happened is, this was a limit at 115,000 years, 150,000 years back, and the sea successively went down, going down to about 200 meters below the present during its glaciation, and then it started rising. And when it started rising, it destroyed the coast which has formed. A 2-degree rise in temperature is formed what is called the wetlands, which are present all along the coast. The wetlands today we have are the result of the sea water incursion during the mid-Holocene. So that is a rise in sea level. That's going to happen. And next slide. I'm not able to operate the slide. Next, okay, next, previous. Yeah, here you can see some of the Relic strand lines, ridges. Next. Yeah, these are the Relic strand lines. This area had a similar configuration, and the whole area has been destroyed because of the inundation of the sea, which happened something around 5,000 years back. The mid-Holocene rise was 8,000 to 5,000 years before present, and the peak was something around 6,000 years. So this is weather in area, and you should be also knowing that these areas are about 2 meters above the MSL. So any rise in sea level, we are going to lose these lands. That's the another information we get from this elevation data. This is elevation data. You see that color, green color, a mild green color is 0 to 1 meter. So these are all the areas which will be affected next. And I've shown for the entire next slide. Next slide, please. I'm not able to operate this slide.
Sir, it is because the screen which we see now is shared by Suresh Kumar, sir.
Oh, okay. I think we have gone a little more. Okay. Righto, tectonic subsidence and sea level. Yeah, this is the whatever is shown in green color, this is going to be affected when there is a 1 meter rise in sea level. You should realize that according to a calculation, which is often disputed, a 10 centimeter rise in sea level will inundate 15 meter of land. That's according to what is called the Brunn's rule. According to Brunn's rule, 10 centimeter rise in sea level will affect or inundate, erode 15 meter lengthwise. So, and another thing is these are the areas where you have the mangroves, amphibian, crustaceans, and corals. So there's going to be a big change in the ecosystem. Land is going to be lost, and people are going to be refugees looking for suitable places to live. That's going to happen. Only Trump is not accepting that sea level is rising. Temperature, global, all other have started realizing. We were also disputing at a particular time, but after 1998, we realized, but the climate change has come to stay. Next. Next slide. Next slide, please. Next slide.
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
we are talking about the subsidence. It could be tectonic, or in some instances, some of the mega cities are located in river mouths or deltas, sorry, and the deltas are have been receiving a lot of sediments, and these sediments are getting compacted. Another thing is that we are drawing excess water for our daily use. As a result, there is a depressurization and compaction going on. As a result, the deltas are sinking. In addition, you may have a tectonic subsidence, which also can impart lowering of the ground level. Look at the sea level changes. Recorded in the tide gauges, you find the Daimon Harbor in West Bengal records a 5.16, Kandla, it records a 3.18 mm per year, much more than the accelerated sea level rise. If you look into what is happening in the last 10-15 years, this value will be much more. Whereas, Chennai, Mumbai, Paradip, Kochi, the change in sea level is lesser. So the sea level is rising, the tide gauge is rising, and if there is a subsidence, this rise will increase. So rise in sea level more than the rise in, if the tide gauge records a rise more than the actual sea level rise, then the area is undergoing subsidence. Next slide.
Yes, sir. Mode.
So as a result, what is happening in the Sundarbans is areas which are shown as red are erosion. 2 islands we have already lost, and we are lost around 163 square kilometers erosion, but 80 square kilometers has been added in the on the northern side of the islands, and overall reduction is land area is lesser, not on 63 because of the delta outbuilding. Here the problem is that tides are removing the sediments, because the tidal range in Sundarbans is roughly about 8 meters. In Gulf of Kambat, it is 10 meters during the new moon, whereas in Sundarban it is 8 meters, if I remember correctly. Okay, anyhow, I not referred to it recently. And particularly Sagar Island, which is the largest island, it's eroding much more than it is adding. Okay, here this is a Sagar Island, the largest one, the home of several thousands of people. Next.
Yes, sir. Mode.
Sea level rise, which have been recorded by the what is called the satellites, Topex and Poseidon and Jason, you find that you have lesser sea level rise in the west coast, Arabian Sea, that's the southern side, whereas the sea level rise is more on the east coast. So sea level rise and sea level are not uniform. Everybody thinks the water occupies the same level, but it's not true, because the sea level is altered by the gravity. The gravity is not constant in the earth. It varies from place to place. Accordingly, you have some changes in the gravity. If you have more gravity in this area, you will have lesser gravity in this area. This is because of the accumulation of the Bengal fan sediments. Low density Bengal fan sediments reduce the gravity in this region. So the water level will be less here and water level will be more here where you have a higher gravity. So don't think that the sea level is constant throughout the world. It varies from place to place. So if you say the sea level is going to rise, the impact is not going to be uniform. We have to take into consideration probably the Kanyakumari is a better place when compared with Ayyappa, because the sea level rise is lesser here, Kanyakumari, when compared with Ayyappa. Next. Yeah. Next. Yeah, next. 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 We're going forward. Next. Backward.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, now you can see that there's a 32% erosion in West Bengal, in the Parganas, and Midnapur is better placed. Next, this is done by National. Previously, it was ICMAM. Okay, Integrated Coastal and Marine Area Management Project Directed. Okay, next. Next, yeah, this is impact of extreme events. Extreme events and destroy the coast, sometimes making it irreversible. And this is what happened in some other country, Australia, during a storm. And this is what has happened in Valyathura in Kerala. So you can't. I'm sure it's going to take a very long time to regain the original position. Next. This is what is happening now. We go to the Nile River, which is the best example for sediment trapping by the dams. You have some studies which are made. This is original limit of the promontory. You can see that in 1945, the land was up to here, and over a period of 150 years, a number of barges, small dams have been constructed. In 1964, the Aswan High Dam was constructed. As a result, this is 1964, will be somewhere in between the red and these two. So the coast has retreated by several, at least 2-3 kilometers. The enormous amount of, and now they have got a seawall to protect it. And there are many more problems which are associated with the Aswan Dam. The salinity in the Mediterranean increased. As a result, fisheries were affected. What was, I vaguely remember the fish catch was reduced by 1/10. If they are getting 3,000 tonners a day, they end up in 300 tonners a day. That's what one port figure it gives like that. So large dams are very bad. We should not try to alter the ecology in a big way. It's always bad. Next. I don't know what was the influence of the construction of the Grand Anaicut by Karigal Shodan on the Kaveri Delta ecosystem. That is always a big question mark for me, because he diverted the water to the Kolleram or Kollidam. From Kaveri, he diverted the water to Kollidam, and Kollidam, as it was water was flowing with a tremendous force during the floods, it eroded fast, making a deep channel, and today you have a very broad river in Kollidam. And the widening has been caused probably during the past 1,500 years because of the diversion of the flood. Whereas the river in the distributaries, they are reduced to small size. And definitely there is some changes which are taking place in the Kollidam River estuary. You can see. But altogether, that's a different topic. Anyhow. So impact, now we come to the human impact. And 150 years back, the Madras harbor was constructed. The backwaters of the Madras harbor was compared. That formed a beautiful beach, second largest beach in Marina. But Marina was not there that wide 150 years back. It's an added, accreted zone. Whereas the Rayapuram area and Ennur area that eroded. 20 years back, we had a temple in the midst of the sea. The Kashi Vishwanath temple of the Ennur was in the sea. Tiruvuttur, right? If I remember correctly, should be part of Tiruvuttur, was in the sea. And now you don't have that because it is completely washed out. And we can see in the recent years, in 1998, a port was constructed in a place called Kattupalli, north of Chennai, near Ennur, north of Ennur. And you see the accretion here. And then you have in 2010, a shipbuilding yard was constructed. Because the two facilities are side by side. The problem here was not significant. And whereas the north of that, you have erosion, nearly 200 meters of coast has been destroyed. So I think we should always have this identify areas where you don't have any habitations and have our facilities, a number of facilities in the same area so that, you know, the community is not affected. But if you have 20 ports in Kanyakumari district, then everywhere you will have problems. So I'll have the ports in one place so that the singular area is affected and the other area is not affected. Anyhow, that's a different story. So beach nourishment has been taken up, and I mean, there was a proposal to take up beach nourishment. We did some studies and modeling to find out how far it will be successful. Then it went for EAA clearance. They had some problem with the EAA, so they couldn't do it. But by the time I came out of that particular, I was retired. Okay. So the coastal protection structures, you know, we have been thinking of, I mean, we have been doing some field work and we found that there's a pier. I think the first information was from Puducherry. Everybody knows, I think Puducherry is a popular tourist destination, and there's a lot of erosion taking place in Puducherry. We will always connect it with the harbor, which is constructed in after independence. I don't know exact year, but the problem started not in after independence, but well before independence. In 1735, the French colonizers constructed a seawall to prevent the erosion because they had a pier for the berthing the ships. And we have I also noticed there is a pier near the Dutch fort of Tarangambadi. And the one which is here, I got it from the internet, posted by this lady. Okay. So you can, even now you can go and see that the brick made pier is there. And this is the temple which has been affected by erosion. Okay. So then we are talking about Poombuhar. We have erosion there also. It was there before the construction of the fishing harbor. Is it due to port activity during the Sangam period? And how about the loss of 6 shore temples in Mamallapuram? Is it due to a port activity in Pallava period? We can't get any answer for this, but it's possible. Anything you do in the sea will have a negative impact. And this is a place, Srinivasapura, but I really doubt whether it is Srinivasapuram. Anyhow, that doesn't matter. But I'm showing only people are living like this. And this is Vembar village, near Vembar village coast. And you see the road is affected. This is because of construction of the groins and harbor jetties. Okay, next. So drift is trapped by the sediments. Now we are coming to the Kanyakumari coast. We can see some of the mistakes done by the people. There is no harbor here, but there is one groin here, and this is trapping the sediments. So the longshore current is like this. Then what you should do is you should trap the sediment here so that you can have a harbor here. Next. But what has been done? Next. This is a photo taken in 2007. And now, instead of putting up a breakwater like this, they have put it like this. I read a particular statement in one of the reports. Previous one, please. Previous slide. Previous, yeah. Okay, that the construction of the beach protection structures is a scandal. They know pretty well that they need to spend it's milking a cow, it's a golden duck. It will keep on giving them revenue and work. That's what they say. So what they did is, instead of putting a breakwater, I am not an expert, I am just looking at a common man and using a little bit of my reasoning. Okay, I am not an engineer. I'm sorry. And see, they have put up a structure like this. And what is going to happen is that this is going to trap the sediment. But they have put another smaller trap here. Then this area is getting filled up. And we are getting, this is, I think there's some problem. Okay, anyhow, it doesn't matter that they have sediment is being dredged to remove the sand. Next. That is in 2007. They did the same mistake. 2011, you have this sand accumulation taking place in the, that's what I'm telling you. That is, in the east coast, sediment is moving like this towards north. In the east coast, west coast, sediment is moving like this. So there's nothing left in Kanyakumari. There are no major river excepting the Kulithurai river. I think they also call it as Tamrabarni. And which flows, and that's not a mighty river. So no sediment supply, but then the sediment dispersal is there constantly. Some coral debris and these shell fragments are accumulating along with a small amount of sand. See, this is happening, and here they have put up not a very clear picture, but anyhow the same thing. But it is not forming a harbor, but it's forming a beach. The same mistake, the breakwater is like this. Now they have put it like this, such that it becomes a bottleneck. Yet they have sanctioned 1.6 crores for dredging this year. The port, the harbor authorities asked for 3 crores, and the cost of this Tengapatnam harbor is 67 crores. They will be continuously spending money on dredging. So the contractors are making money. Next. And designers have helped them. So this is the final thing. Now the Tangapatnam, this is Tangapatnam and this is the Mullur Turai, and in between I got this from a net. So we have some erosion. And this size of this, earlier they were putting very large ones. That's also bad. They should put only small ones. For my reasoning, as a technical person, I can't dispute it. I mean, non-technical person, I can't dispute it. But many cases, what they put is very long trap so that more sediment is trapped on one side. When more sediment is trapped on one side, the other side is going to have erosion. Next, please. And I think we can skip this. Geology Survey of India undertook a program. They found 12 Tamil Nadu beaches, the shoreline is eroded with sea entering the mainland, ranging from 50 meters to half a kilometer in few stretches for the past 4 decades. So 1.6 crore is allotted for the dredge. 64,440 meter cube of silt is accumulated in Tangapatnam Harbor. Next. So construction of, and then we come to erosion due to mining. We are not able to say much about the mining activity for the beach sands in Kanyakumari district. How far? Because I think they should be doing it judiciously. The amount of heavy minerals are not much. As long as the material which is removed is put back, it's not going to be a big issue. But when it comes to the Gulf of Mannar, people have been illegally mining the limestone for the regular use. We have 24 coral islands. We call them the Thoothukudin group and the Vembar group, Kelakara group and the Mannar group. And of the 4 ones, the one Tivu, which is in the southernmost, very close to Tuticorin, is, and you have already some loss of island. Next. We can see the changes taking place in the one island. Right from 2005 to 2020, we can see that's a long one here, and some change in direction was there in 2000, but in 2013 it was split into 2, and then northwestern part disappeared and is no longer present. And what I heard is that there's no documentation of the actually what has happened. What I heard was that somehow this island had this juliflora, Udamaram or something like that, the thorny bush, which is prevalent everywhere, you know, in Tamil Nadu. That juliflora got grown here, and to preserve the indigenous vegetation, they removed the juliflora. And when they removed the juliflora, erosion started. What has happened earlier is that the original vegetation was replaced by the juliflora, and it continued the binding of the soil. But our people, when they removed it, the binding was removed, so the land was eroded. So that is what has happened. So we have an example of erosion due to mining. All the reports say that the indiscriminate mining of limestone is the cause of the loss of one Tivu. Next. Next. And you have the mangroves, which cause the coastal defense. Mangrove roots, they trap the sediments. And when the waves strike, they reduce the wave energy, thereby preventing the erosion. So mangrove are very useful. Next. And we have talked about the natural and human-induced causes of the shoreline change, and as in the case of the Andaman, you have the tectonic subsidence has clearly brought out that the forests have drowned in some places. You can see water. Yeah. Now we can estimate the shoreline. This is one study which has been conducted by Manonmaniam Sundarnar University. We have the satellite data. Using the satellite data, you can get the paleo shoreline, past shoreline. They've used 3 shorelines, 1999 to 2000, 2005 to 2006, and 2010 to 2011. And they have shown wherever you have in 2005, there's a lot of erosion. And here, in this zone, there is accretion in 2005. That is the Muttam area. So this is how they estimate the, I think using the remotely sensed data, now you have got an option to work in any area. You're sitting in Delhi, you wanted to, the minister wants to know what is going to happen. It need not ask the people what is going to get the ground truth. Now they can as well get the satellite data and try to infer what is happening. So these are all some modern technologies. This work has been done by Manonmaniam Sundarnar University. I took the liberty of getting the material for your benefit. Next. And this is what is happening. These are areas which are undergoing erosion. Tengapatnam, this is going erosion. You have alternate villages like Puttanturai and Medalam undergoing accretion. Medalam, I think I have next. I can show you in the next one. Next slide. Yeah, whatever is shown in green, these villages are undergoing accretion and on the whole, okay. Within this also there could be accretion somewhere and erosion somewhere, okay. But in general, there's accretion here in these villages, and in these villages you have to watch them. Next. And this is another study which has been made in Kadalur district by us. We have used several 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Landsat data with a different resolution, 60 meters, 63, 30, 15, and 30 meter resolution. And using this data, next. Next, please. Yeah.
Yes. Modes.
Yeah. Next, previous one. Now we have the baseline. We create a baseline, and then you have a transect, and then you have different shorelines. The software, it's called Digital Shoreline Analysis System, which is integrated with ArcGIS, and this is how it measures. And from this, it measures the position of the shorelines, and along each transect, it decides what is going to be the erosion or accretion or the change. Next. This is how it does. It's number of transects. I mean, you can draw transects every 10 meters. You can draw it every 100 meters, depending on the requirement. That's all done in the computer. Next. Next. Yeah, this is another method. There are 2 methods. Endpoint rate, that is distance between the oldest and youngest shoreline, is one. The other one is a linear regression. The software calculates a regression along each transect. These are all different position of 6 shorelines and year. So if they just go like this, you get a slope. From the slope, it calculates the actual migration. Next. So then when it comes to Kadalur, Wherever you have high erosion, more than 2 meters, we are shown a red color. This shows this zone is undergoing high erosion. This is going moderate erosion or low erosion. This is stable, and this is low accretion. So you can classify the coast into different levels. Next. By EPR method, and you have by LLR method, linear regression rate. So you can also have construct graphs like this, giving where you have the erosion, wherever you have the negative values, it is erosion, and here you have accretion. This is done by my student for his PhD work. He did multi-hazard mapping for Kadalur district. Next. Yeah, this is for the entire coast. You can see that these areas are undergoing erosion and these areas are undergoing accretion. Much of the land is undergoing erosion. So in general, the Kadalur coast is showing more erosion. Next. And this is what's the summary. You have high erosion and moderate erosion taking place. Low erosion, erosion is the dominant. Then you have the moderate accretion and low accretion and moderate accretion. Next. There's no high accretion. Next. And this is what is the status of particular. You have a small structure here, you see, a piled jetty. See, it's not completely sealing the movement of the wave, but there are piles at regular interval. Regular interval, you have piles, and this jetty is there. And it's an, if I remember correctly, it's intake pipe. And because of the construction, what I'm telling is even a small obstruction for the longshore current will have an influence. We are talking about a solid breakwater. It has got enormous influence, but even a small piled jetty, a jetty is resting on a pile, it's open. A small obstruction is there. That can affect. This is, see here, this same thing is here. This is the view on top and this is the view in the bottom. You see, nobody will put a playground on the shore edge of the shore. So definitely there's a lot of erosion going on here. So you can see the trees have been uprooted here, and this is what is happening because of the obstruction. What I am trying to convey is that even small obstruction can affect it because of the Kadalur breakwater somewhere here. You have erosion taking place here, and very close to that place you have, this is a breakwater, and I think it's a jetty, okay, not a breakwater. So you have erosion in the road taking place. Next. So next. And you have the college here. These are all some of the habitations. These are all the recently added structures. Previously, these things were not there, and now they got a lot of funds to get development, and they are going putting. I would prefer to stop all developments in the college and select another place where you can establish a college and phase it out before the next disaster strikes. Next. So, and this is a summary of what is happening in Tamil Nadu, India. You have particularly southern states. You have a big list of the entire country, but I just concentrate on the southern states. You have more of erosion taking place in Tamil Nadu and Kerala. 45% of the coast is eroding in Kerala. 51 is eroding in Puducherry. Of course, but the length is very small, and this is 41%. And Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka are better placed, and India is 33% of the coast is erosion, and stable is so on. And this is, I think, if I remember correctly, I don't know exactly, I didn't put the reference. Anyhow, sorry. Okay, next. And this is the erosion, Tamil Nadu. Okay, just to have an idea of what is happening. And you have Tamil Nadu and Pondicherry. How many length of land which is lost? This is another study which was made in 2014. So there could be some difference between the studies, but overall, in general, we'll have some similarity in the results. Next. And when you're talking about the area in square kilometers, Andhra Pradesh is losing a lot of land, more erosion taking place in a smaller length. So that becomes, and West Bengal is showing a very high erosion. Nicobar is undergoing a lot of change. So it's going to be very alarming. Next. So we have seen some structures like groins, breakwaters, and seawall which has been constructed. And since this time is, we're running short of time, I think I'll just rush through this. The PDF of this will be available for you to see. And there are two types of protection measures. One is the hard and the other one is a soft one. And rock structures like revetment, walls and breakwaters, the traditional approach to shoreline management, protection against erosion, they are the hard engineering solutions. But what happens is when the you have the hard structures protecting the coast, it protects the area where you have put the structure, but elsewhere there is a problem. It creates negative effect on the adjacent beaches, and they are more expensive. And next. Yes, I'll try to do it. Menon sir, I got the reference, got your comment, and I'll add it in the notes. Okay. Then you have the soft solutions. One of the commonly adopted system is sand bypassing. Then piling is also easy and done different places. I have seen the piles in Pondicherry and stabilizing the zones, but that is not actually the shore, but it's a little inside the shore. Sandbag, fabric and specialty products is another one we should bear in mind. Still has a negative impact on even the soft engineering measures will have a negative impact on the ecosystem. Next. Next. Yeah, this is one. Piling is done here, and then you have the geotubes which are filled with water and sand mixture. This is one, and we have a drainage here. They have a in moderately dipping, sloping beaches. We call this deflecting beaches, not a flat beach, but one with a gentle slope. We can have a drainage, and water can be drained from here by horizontal drainage elsewhere, not here. And see what happens is when water flows over tops, it carries along with its sediments. But when the water comes down dip, down slope, it carries the sediments. But if the water which is going as backwash is absorbed by this layer by reducing a hydrostatic head, by draining the water, water is allowed to infiltrate here. Part of the water which otherwise would have flowed back is made to flow like this or percolate down, thereby reducing amount of water flowing down slope. So that means it's not going to erode this area. Erode this slope. So this is another method. This is sand bypassing. We have this structure is accumulating sand here. We are putting the sand back here. This is bypassing. Nutrition is bringing it from inside and putting it. So the beach nutrition. Next. Next. Yeah, this is another artificial reef. This is being attempted in many places. We have this being tried at Point Puducherry. Now what they have is submersible reefs. These are all the structures which are used, a traditional ball reef on the layer cake reef ball unit, and these things are dumped here. This forms a habitat for fishes. See, more than the shore protection, they are giving niches for fishes to have a calm environment. Now we have a breakwater, submersible breakwater. This is original shore profile. Because of the construction of this breakwater, the wave action is reduced, so the beach is accumulating. The beach shows here is two different beaches, same beach, the two photographs of the same beach taken in different periods. This is in Dominican Republic. I took it as a next. So when I want to, this is what a summary rather, what has been said is that shoreline changes, how it is caused, and early civilization were settled in a river delta, and our forefathers were living in nature, utilize the resources at the optimum level, migrating to safe areas which are prone to geohazard. Whenever the area is affected by a hazard, what they did was they shifted to safe zones. But with the technological advancement and infrastructure development, we are not in a position to abandon our resources and migrate to other areas. See, those days we constructed a mud wall house, bringing mud from an adjoining area, and using the coconut palmyra, we used the log, and we had the thatch on it, thatch roofing on it. So anytime you can abandon it, construct another one here. Every year you are reconstructing it to make it better. But now you have concrete houses. You can't shift them. You can't abandon houses which cost you 10 lakhs, 15 lakhs. So your property has become a problem, a binding for you not to migrate. When you're looking for value tsunami, people were mainly concentrating on abandoned settlements in the coastal areas because they know people would have abandoned the area because of a tsunami and looking for a tsunami-like deposit, sand sheet in the area. So, see, settlements have been migrating whenever there was a problem to safe areas, and now we are not able to do it. Next. Next. And we are recklessly using the coastal resources. You have a problem, put it, seal it, stop it. And we are also doing a lot of modification on the natural system. And we are altering the natural system, and the climate change induced problem is also causing more force in the process. What is important is that we should realize when countermeasures are adopted, the erosion problem becomes worse. We are not rectifying a problem by taking a countermeasure with the earth. Yet you can't tame the earth. You have to live to its wishes. Next. I think that's going to be the last slide. Next. Yeah. Next. Previous. So, the impossible solution is that let the coast erode. We should migrate to safe areas. That's what our forefathers did. So there are three methods. One is retreat. Menon sir knows it. Retreat, accommodate, protect. These are the three methods by which you can escape from a coastal disaster, oceanic disaster or disaster. What is it you are going to follow? Retreat, go out of the danger zone. That's of course the best solution. Number two, accommodate. Rise the level, make the protection strong, and try to live. Third one is protect. I'm sorry, rise your level so that the water, you are escaping the water forces. But I think for ocean, this accommodate is not going to help you because, you know, ocean is going to be very strong. This is only for flooding, flood related hazard. Then protect is by all taking measures. So we have to make a decision. The best decision is if you are getting a chance, move out of the danger zone. It's a hard solution. But with the global climate change hanging like a Damocles sword on your head, you have very low option. As a geologist, I always believe the earth process is more efficient than the human. So, as a geologist, I can give you only this solution. An engineer can give a different type of solution. What's the best solution? You make your decision. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Menon sir?
Yes.
Suresh sir, can you stop the screen sharing?
Oh, I have to stop. Huh?
No, Suresh, I think that it's Suresh sir is sharing
I'm
the
not
screen.
handling it. Host is disabled. That's what I'm getting. I'm not able to do anything.
Yeah, Mr. Suresh is
Yes.
controlling it.
Suresh, you have got
Hello.
it on, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, mine
Sir,
is
can you please stop the sharing, sir?
okay. No, I in a previous
Anyway,
Yeah, it's
previous
okay.
program I had a problem.
While Mr. Suresh is, changing the, he's stopping the sharing.
yes. Stop the sharing. And thank you so much, sir. It was very informative, and in fact, it is disturbing to people of Kanyakumari district in particular. And of course, with a long coastal line, this is a concern of the state, both the state of Kerala and Tamil Nadu. And let's hope that at least now we will be awakening to the serious situation we are in. And as you told, we should not try to tame the environment, but the mistake is where we are trying to tame the environment. Thank you so much, sir, for this informative session. And we have a couple of questions from Professor Vinod Menon, sir. You might have noted that. And one question was common, which we received overwhelming response in the YouTube. And then there was one question from Jyoti Patil ma'am. On how to identify the erosion, and the same question is asked by Professor Vinod Menon, sir. With new technologies in geoinformatics and robotics, augmented reality, virtual reality, can coastal erosion be mapped better with improved digital analytics?
Yeah, definitely anything can be made better, you know. Now what has been done by previously it was called ICMA. Sir, you remember what is the NCCR?
Their integrated coastal management.
What institute is that?
Institute for Coastal Management.
Yeah.
They do the bathymetry studies.
Yeah. So that institute has done with the Cartosat data with a resolution of 1 meter. And they are also done using the field collected data. See, they go along the field and they regularly collect the shoreline position. And there are a lot of methods by which the results can be better identified. But whatever happens, you know, at the time of field work or any moment, something happening. But that's not the permanent. Sea is a dynamic zone. See, if you go the next day, it will be different. It keeps changing all the time, you know, because wind speed changes every day. You can't predict wind speed.
Yeah, so, Professor Ramohan, you know, you mentioned retreat, adapt, and protect.
Yeah.
You know, the ecosystem sustainable solutions would be to also look at adopting and adapting. You know, adopting good practices and adapting to local situations and context. And that is what Mr. Michael Vedishromani has been also talking about, specifically context-specific solutions which are required. And sustainability also means conserve, preserve, and regenerate.
Yes.
So I think if you can bring these 5 areas, you know, adopt, adapt, conserve, preserve, and regenerate, then the whole thing becomes integrated.
But I think for shoreline problem in Kanyakumari, we have reached almost
beyond carrying capacity.
Unthinkable stage.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's also there in.
There's no more adaptation. You have to retreat.
It's also there in Puducherry. It's also there in Kerala near Veli and you know, Kochuveli and Pundapura and Challanam and places like that. You know, this is happening.
Yeah, because another thing is, you know, wind is very low there, so you do not have dune protection in Kerala.
Right. No, we saw that when the tsunami happened. You know, it is difficult to get that 500-meter, you know, coastal zone management, you know, restriction, because already it is so, you know, the settlement density is so high.
Yes.
So, you know, even to really do the reconstruction in the same area, you know, it is actually also going to be extremely difficult because of the coastal erosion, which is happening. And as you very rightly said, the more you try to protect, the more in the neighboring areas, you know, the more, you know, the erosion happens.
Yes.
So the accretion is actually, as you said, 1/4, and, you know, 75% is actually erosion happening.
Yes.
That is a challenge.
But I think, sir, erosion problem is a relatively in a lesser dimension. See, actually, for if accretion is 2 times, one unit area is eroding. That's my observation.
And Vinod Menon sir has made another observation too. The Vizhinjam port in Kerala is being converted into transshipment facility with over 95 lakh tons of rocks removed through a network of quarries in Western Ghats, along with sand mining, deforestation, etc. How will the ecosystem be affected due to this?
No, you should identify a place where on the down dip direction, drift direction, there's no major settlements. And if there are some settlements, you should give provision for them to move inward. If you are not able to do it, then it's not wise to do this development. For example, in the Kartupalli port, what has done is they have given compensation to the people already, and they have moved the entire Kartupalli village and other 2-3 villages to inland, and they have bought their lands and they have converted into the facility. Now nobody is there to shout.
We should listen to Mr. Michael Vedashiromani because he's a lot of experience in Kanyakumari and Kerala.
Yes, actually, I was looking forward for his introductory, concluding remarks. Even during the presentation, I was wondering what Michael sir would be telling on this.
Yes.
So I know when I look the watch, it's really, I think something which is already alarming scenario. I think respected Dr. Menon, Dr. Ramohan, especially for enriching us, and possibly I think what Savita was telling, it is enrages me personally because I know the coastal. I walked along this coastal area, especially Muttam, Tengapattinam. I've seen undisturbed and disturbed and all. And also about when you say about Kadalur and all, I think I would say that most uncivilized people that we are today, I think managing this country. I think if anybody is wounded, doesn't matter because that is the way I think things are going on and all. I don't know, even the coastal district collectors are aware of their endangered districts and what they are doing it and all. Unfortunately, what happens is in the whatever we see in the mountain, we see it and we react. But whatever goes along the coastal area, we see it unnoticed because a small percentage of population or the coastal fishermen, they suffer or in silence or they are party to it and all. Though we have got a good policy that like Dr. Menon said about CRZ, that CRZ has been, I think, much, I think, what you call diluted now. Formerly, we said 500 meters, like exactly what you said about the houses falling and all. I think that is the reality, and that is going to be more reality. You have cautioned so well, but maybe sometimes I always feel, as a professor to both of you, both Vinod Menon, of course, I would say not only he's a professor, he's also an activist. But what is happening? This all something looks like a postmortem. After all has done, then we prepare a report, present a report for whom? This is the question mark I ask it and all. There's a beautiful saying in Malayalam which I'd say, Ippadam Shankaran Tengiladane. That means you are toiling, I am toiling, professor is toiling in Anna University and Annamala University and all universities. But that poor man Shankaran is not able to move because of our contribution of IAS officers, contribution to the what you call the legislature, to the executive and the judiciary. I think we are taking for granted, I think, especially the common man. Particularly, I think when you, I don't think it is anything what, if there is any corrections could be made in Kanyakumari, it's very disturbing. I've seen after that tsunami, I walked along that 68 kilometers, walked along and seen it, what is happening in Tendal. Another tsunami, I don't think Kanyakumari district could bear, and another should not come, God forbid. Today is Vinayaka Chaturthi. I think God should be kind to our land, and people should respect nature. I think we, I think occasionally, I think like a dynamite. I think Professor Ramon nicely put it. Like the contractor is benefiting. It's only the contractor is benefiting in the development of this country. There is no doubt about it. It's very clear. Whether it's a PWD, Dr. Rajaji used to say, PWD is a public waste department. He used to write it and say it and all. I don't think whether they are very different today. I don't think we say that we have got technology, we have got IIT Chennai. So I used to make a remark, since professors are there, either there should be IIT Chennai or there should be Kuvam. Both cannot coexist, but both coexist. That is India. That is what is great. And I used to say that Madras University Vice Chancellor's nose has become numb because he doesn't sense it. Otherwise, Kuvam's smell should have made him to act. I think Kuvam, the Vice Chancellor of Madras University, is sitting on the banks. I think his certainly nose has become his numb is what I have to say. And just to Dr. Ram Mohan, I said, maybe I take this liberty because I was also seen as a director and vice chancellor in the Rajiv Gandhi Institute, Sree, but we have not met, but I think we have just came to know. Thanks for cautioning, and it's such a great warning you're telling what to Kanyakumari district. This is what is the situation to almost all the districts and all. Like what you said, piling. I think Kanyakumari district, I am already agitated because rubber introduction is a environmental suicide. Today, when you said it, even the coconuts are going out. Black palm tree, we have just forgotten it and all. What you said it piling. When you said piling, I was remembering the black palm. Maybe in Kanyakumari district, after a few days, and when the black palm will not be there. This is the way we are taking the development. Great IAS officers have remained as collected for what I don't know. But the common man should say whether we are benefiting. I think we have to respect nature. I think at this rate, I think we have to raise voice because the system has not served the purpose. People, the local people, as in the environmental impact assessment, we say the local people's voice is important. Now I understand what is local people. The local people, when you exactly said, because in the Arabian, if I understood properly, in the eastern coast, it is the sand moves towards the north. Any disturbance, it doubly reacts, like what you said. So, the sea is very dynamic. It's really very dynamic. Like what you said, today today morning is different, today evening is different. But I think we have to adjust. But we are again constructing the same places instead of replacing them and wasting money, wasting resources and all. I think there is no proper planning. There's no long-term planning. There's just short-term planning. I think we just give the relief and just forget about the disaster, because I don't think after the cyclone, Woki cyclone, or after the tsunami, Kanyakumari district has really prepared anything better. I doubt it. I doubt it as a very consciously as an individual, consciously as a citizen. So that is what is the challenge today when we say, I think resilient India by 2030, lot much to be done, lot much to be. Today, I think it is something like a bomb blast. I think Dr. Ramohan said along the coast. We have covered only Tamil Nadu little because focusing on Kanyakumari we could relate. But same is the problem in Kerala, all over.
Yes,
and we all over the problem.
In Kerala also.
Equally horrible.
Students from
equally
Kerala.
Horrible.
We are getting some students from Kerala, so we ask the students to do it in their home state. Because
no, but they do it and submit a report to you, and you remain it, value it, and mark it, and that's end of it.
No. As far as studies are concerned,
right,
work which is carried out is not very accurate. But it is.
But even then, caution.
It's only a training for the students to do such studies.
That's right.
It is not for finding something. It is only training the students to do the work. Because there is a limitation. We can't spend 100 days in the field collecting the data.
Right.
What is necessary for these things is several days of field work. And they can't go to field work and try to spend all the time there. So our project reports are only training the students.
Right. That's
finding out something. And even if we find out something, when we say, nobody is going to accept it.
That's the problem. That's what wisdom comes, but then we don't respect it. That's the problem. So I think the administrators and academicians should sit together for at least that district. Like Manon Manianar, you just told it, what is the study, they have done it and all. The district collector should discuss and say immediately there should be an action plan. We are lacking it and all. Just a report submitted and all, few questions to the assembly. Unfortunately, there's many things to be done. Anyway, I think disaster always teaches lessons. One after another disaster, I think everything we go on learning. I think thanks to Suresh for his passionate presentation about cyclone and Woki cyclone, and everything is picturizing. It's very painful. All those who have left us is very sad because of not proper planning. But I think future we have to be optimistic because we are living in this world and we should do something better so that I think we respect nature. If you start respecting nature, I think things will be better as there is time, long time. And I would especially congratulate all the participants, and also for especially to Dr. Ram Mohan for throwing such a great insight, and I would say create interest in us, and people like those who belong to the district, especially for the students. I would say, please make it a point to walk along this line and understand. Don't mere by this presentation and remind it. You will not make it anything. Please walk along some 10 kilometers, 15 kilometers, go along with your brother or your parents and just walk and understand. There is a life learning, because this is something like a whistleblowing caution. I think Dr. Ramohan has said it, and we have to learn and appreciate. And we are the people going to act. If we don't act, collector is not going to act. Collector is a paid servant. He will leave it just like that. If Kanyakumari district has to be taken care of, it is not the district collector or the SP of police. It is the local people. He is a paid servant. Collector is the paid servant. The moment he said, please leave, he will leave. That's all his interest is. So please, the local people, I think, have to think it off, and we have to make a better tomorrow. So thank you very much for one and all, and especially to Ayyappa College for taking this great initiative of creating awareness, like what Professor said, training. I think we are creating awareness so that some of us will act something, because still Kanyakumari is naturally bountiful. I think we should respect it and do something better for a better tomorrow. Thank you very much for this great opportunity. To one and all, congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. What you said is exactly right. Now it's with the people to respond and react. And the rubber, especially the place which I come from, my generation cannot thrive without rubber, unfortunately. And even in my home, I'm not permitted to speak against rubber. That's something very a thing to worry about. And now let me invite Suresh Kumar sir to deliver the vote of thanks on behalf of Sree Ayyappa College for Women and DMRT. Sir, please.
Thank you. Today, really, on the day of an auspicious day, Vinayak Chaturthi, whether we have to set the program or not, there was a big question. I said, Ganeshji having a bigger 2 years to listen. So, thank God for allowing us to listen, and many listeners are united and connected, and experts are here to teach us. So, all major cities in the world are built 50 to 100 kilometers radius of coastline across the world. India and Tamil Nadu, Kanyakumari is not an exception. Today, our Chief Patron, Professor Vinod C. Menon, sir, founder member NDMA. Sir, thanks for your constant encouragement, ice-breaking the expert opinion, and set the session move on. Thank you very much, sir, for your encouragement. Now, our chairman, Sir Michael, sir, already engaged with another program. Still, he make it a point to join and absorb us. Sir is with renewed vigor. With renewed vigor, he wanted to do something to the country. With that urge only, he is speaking many novel and practical experience. So, sir already told that don't depend on this presentation and guidance. Have a transact walk. Move on to the coastal side, see, get the experience, sit and plan for future generation. We call it transact walk. So that is more important. So sir has given a lot of touch the Kuvam also. Sir, thank you very much for your rich experience and expertise to make the day happen. Thank you very much. Thank you. Our Madam Principal always major encouraging tool to set the motion of the meeting with ideas and suggestions, opinion, and keep the session move on. Thank you very much, Madam, for your suggestions and blessings. Thank you. My professor, Professor Dr. K. Meena, Madam, HOD Commerce and Coordinator of India Internal Quality Assurance Cell of Sree Ayyappa College. Madam, thank you very much. My professor, today's distinguished speaker, Dr. V. Ramohan sir, I met in 2014 in one of the NIDM, National Disaster Management Training Program. He has presented there only 2 hours, but throughout the night, 7 o'clock to 10, 11, 12, 1 o'clock students and the faculties, they were together and we had a very good experience, sir. After that, in 88 Tamil Nadu, sir is going to different districts, conducting program for stakeholders of the state SDMA, and I too also a trainer in some of the training programs. And personally, sir used to visit Kanyakumari. That's why he has touched many of the points. Our chairman used to caution me, you don't go on international experience and expertise here. You localize the situation, then only we can bring some idea. So sir is very fond of Kanyakumari district. He used to visit along with family. So his rich, vast experience in the field. He joined in Geological Survey of India and worked in Kannur. He's the best man to speak about landslide. And he worked in Kerala, mines, mineral, Tamil Nadu government office he worked. And he gained more than 56 PhD scholars. And they have given, some of them have given appreciation here. 56 experts he has created his life. Sir, thank you very much. 52.
21.
Okay, MPhil 56. MPhil. Okay, thank you very much, sir, for your nice presentation. Touched the photos, informations, your suggestions, especially mangroves. You touched very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. You have given a lot of solution. I hope. Madam used to caution anthropogenic changes are the problem of all the coastline. So people are the problem, not the nature. So let us live with the nature. That is your findings. Thank you very much, sir, on behalf of Sree Ayyappa College for Women and DMRT. Thank you very much, sir. Now, our Professor Valliyappan, sir, from MS University is always with us, encouraging us. Thank you very much, sir. And Professor Yar Savida, organizing secretary, he take pain to organize, especially today. He has lot of personal inconvenience and discomforts. In spite of that, you schedule the meeting on behalf of the organizing committee and the
Ganesh Chaturthi Day.
Ganesh Chaturthi Day. Thank you very much for your initiatives. And last but not least, the delegates, you are more responsible and you have given lot of comments, suggestion, opinion, questions. So because of your participation, this session is made to happen. Thank you very much. Once again, I extend the Vinayak Chaturthi. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for giving the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Professor.
You also gave an opportunity to meet Honorable Manan.
Yeah. Professor Savida, kindly unmute your mic.
To Hemant Bisht here, I would like to inform you that this is being live casted in the YouTube and the session is there in the YouTube. I'll post the YouTube link here before ending the session. And thank you everyone for being with us on this auspicious day. Even though it is a holiday, you have sacrificed your holiday and celebration and you are here, and I have posted the YouTube link also. So thank you everyone. Thank you all the seniors, and with all your blessings, we will continue this journey and see you again next Saturday. For the time being, the team Youth Red Cross and IQAC Sree Ayyappa College for Women and DMRT is signing off. Happy Ganesh Chaturthi to everyone again. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So shall I end the session?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.